Alright folks, welcome back to your favorite corner of the internet where we dive into all things tech with a special focus on solving those pesky problems that make you pull your hair out. I'm here today to share an epic tale from my own personal journey into the world of computer science and IT support. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button because there's more where this comes from. So grab your popcorn, get comfortable, and let's dive right in. Imagine it's a typical day at work. The sun is shining outside, but inside my office, things are starting to feel a bit tense. My colleague and I had just started a TeamViewer session when I noticed something alarming. His 2TB hard drive was completely filled up, no room left for anything else. And when I switched over to his SSD, it wasn't much better. 120 GB of space consumed by who knows what. Now, you might be thinking, what's the big deal? It's just a full hard drive. But this isn't any ordinary situation. Imagine coming into work and finding out your kitchen pantry is stuffed so tightly with food that there's no room for another crumb. That kind of stress and frustration is exactly what my colleague was experiencing. So, I decided to take action. I fired up WinDirStat, a little app that visualizes the contents of your drives in a neat graphical layout. Normally, you'd see a mix of files, some big downloads, lots of smaller documents and images. But this time? It was like an alien spaceship had landed right on his main drive. The screen filled with one enormous block that dwarfed everything else. It looked like something out of a horror movie, just sitting there taking up over half the space on his 2TB hard drive. And as I zoomed in, I could see it clearly. Page file. Sys's. Now, for those who might not know, the page file is an essential part of how Windows manages memory. It acts like a buffer when your computer runs out of RAM, storing extra data temporarily on the hard drive. But normally, you wouldn't expect this file to be bigger than a few gigabytes, so seeing it take up over 1 TB was beyond bizarre. With my colleague's eyes wide with shock and confusion, I delved into his system settings. And there it was, manual configuration set to an insane size of 1 TB. The default setting for this option is usually auto-configured based on your RAM amount. But here, someone had decided the best way to fix a game crashing problem was to throw terabytes at it. I couldn't help but chuckle as I explained. You know, if you just closed some background apps or bought more RAM, you wouldn't have ended up with this mess. His response was sheepish and resigned. It turns out he had been dealing with the issue for years without addressing it properly, simply expanding his page file size each time until it reached 1 TB. Can you imagine? 4 years of blissful ignorance while your computer slowly suffocates under an invisible weight of unnecessary data. The guilt in my colleague's voice when I explained how this could have been avoided was palpable. I had no idea, he said, his eyes downcast as the reality set in. It wasn't just about losing space, it was about lost potential and wasted resources. Imagine having all that storage capacity sitting idle while your system grapples with performance issues. That's what my friend's computer had been dealing with for years. But we're not here to dwell on mistakes, are we? We're here to fix them. So, I guided him through the process of adjusting his page file settings back to a reasonable size and rebooted his system. The look on his face as everything came back online smoothly was priceless. He was overjoyed at finally seeing some relief. And you know what's even better? This experience taught us both an important lesson. When technology fails, it's not because the solution is always more hardware. Sometimes, it's about understanding how to optimize and manage what we already have. Now, as I wrap up this story for today, I want to leave you with a thought. What would you do if you found yourself in a similar situation? Would you take on the challenge of fixing it yourself or reach out for help? Remember, technology is there to serve us, not control us. And sometimes, all it takes is a little bit of knowledge and some courage to make things right. So thank you for joining me today. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button and subscribe so we can continue our journey into the wild world of tech support together. See you next time!